Welcome you to Darlington, South Carolina for Busch Racing. This one of NASCAR's historic tracks, the site of the Great Wall. The wall at Darlington juts out and grabs cars, earning drivers the famous Darlington Stripe. Today, this old track will try and tame the pole sitter, 18-year-old Kyle Busch, who shares the front row with 23-year-old phenom Casey Kane.
But this old track may favor a veteran like 36-year-old Jeff Burton. A lot of people are looking at this number 9 car as a car to beat. He's got 4 wins and he's led 658 laps. But are there issues with this race car? We'll check in a little bit later on. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Steve, but what about the youth? They served notice in qualifying on Friday. 18-year-old Kyle Busch scored his first series pole. Remember, he finished second here last year, and then alongside 23-year-old Casey Kane. 2 top 10s here last year on his way to his first series win at Homestead. These young guys want to keep that trend going, but they're going to have to deal with old age and treachery. The old lady in black here at Darlington. To Speedway Illustrated's Dr. Dick Bergman.
Well, the racetrack has installed a new safer barrier here for the race for the very first time. That has taken 2½ feet out of the racing lane. And the drivers needed every inch of that racing lane. See what I mean? Take a look at the finish of last year's race here.
Now McMurray, he's going to have to try to get around Todd Bodine if he's going to win this race.
Try on the outside, just like yesterday. And it's McMurray. No, it's not. It's Bodine. And Bodine, Jamie slides across to finish second. 2 days in a row. 2 fabulous finishes. Oh, my gosh.
They might have to put those foam barriers at the finish line, along with Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, and we welcome you to the Hollywood Hotel getting ready for Busch Series racing from Darlington. What should people know about this track and the kind of racing they're going to see today?
What you're going to see is this exactly what we saw right there. As far as the finish is concerned, a lot of side-by-side racing, a lot of guys getting up into the wall. It's inevitable. It's a part of when you come to Darlington. It's going to happen, Chris. It's not a matter if you can or cannot. It's just a matter of when.
It's a track that eats up tires, and, of course, in the Busch Series, you have the rule about only 3 sets of tires.
Yeah, you really do. Again, this is one of the things about this racetrack. It's so unique. It is so abrasive on the tires. But these guys have only got 3 sets. Even though it's a short race of 200 miles, you've got to take care of those tires as well as stay off that wall.
All right, this Busch race is starting a great weekend across the Fox family of racing networks. Immediately after this race here on FX, the final practice session for tomorrow's race on Fox. Then Sunday, starting at 1 Eastern, time for Dale Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, and a full field of drivers to go at each other and battle that Darlington wall in the NASCAR Nextel Cup race. It'll be the 5th race of the season so far. The scoreboard showing Kenseth with 2 wins, Jr. with 2 wins, and everybody else no wins so far. Kurt Busch starting tomorrow from the second row, always a threat. Now his brother Kyle starting today from the pole, and he's with Matt Yoakum. Matt?
Darlington, a special place for the Busch family. Kurt won his first Nextel Cup pole right here at Darlington, and Kyle Busch, you won your first Busch Series pole here. Now, last year you finished second. You've had to pencil this race in for a long time.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun to come here to Darlington. You know, the old lady in black, she's definitely one of the mean ones. But, you know, we also have a lot of fun here, too. It's a tough, tricky place to get around. But, you know, the Lowe's guys with Lance McGrew did an awesome job all weekend. And, you know, the Briggs and Stratton boys are all here. So we're definitely going to try to enjoy a great race today. And
same car that won here last year.
The same car that won here last year, and I finised second. And the guy that won the race isn't in the race. So I guess I got something, you know, I got to put it in that spot. I ain't going to say it. So we're going to see what we can do here. Hopefully we can hang out up front. Maybe we'll let some of them veteran guys, you know, go out and lead it and set the pace for a while, fall back a little bit, and just kind of learn and hang out until the end. That's what it's all about.
Now he seeks his first career series win. The last time a Busch Series driver scored his first win right here at Darlington, 13 months before he was born. Chris?
Well, Jeff, how about that strategy? Kyle admitting, hey, I'm going to watch some of the veterans and see what happens.
I think that's a pretty good thought as far as he's concerned right now. But one thing that impressed me about him, he has a real simple comment about Darlington. It's a fun place to race, so it'll be interesting to see if he thinks it's fun by the end of the day.
We'll see how much Kyle has learned from older brother Kurt. Another driver to watch today, Martin Truex Jr., will have his story as we return for Busch Racing on FX here in Darlington. Nice to have you with us in Darlington, South Carolina. NASCAR Busch Series on FX presented by Yamaha. We're counting you down to the race, and Steve Grissom said that Darlington has a pretty brutal reputation, but then again, it deserves it. Grissom starting way in the back of the pack. And one of the Busch Series current and rising stars, Martin Truex Jr., when the green flag drops and today's race starts, there will be 4 rows of cars in front of him, and behind him will be the support of one of his backers, car owner Dale Earnhardt Jr. Let's hear from America's junior idols.
Right now, I just want to race cars, and right now I want to be a Busch champion, Busch Series champion this year. That's my goal for the year, win some races and be competitive every week. So far, I think we're doing a good job. Actually, Mom's she's really the one that kind of got me really interested in racing, because when I started racing go-karts, my father was racing on the weekends all the time and had no way to ever get to the racetrack. So she would actually take me there. You know, it would just be me and her at the racetrack. He's real excited, you know. He's put a lot of time and effort into getting me to where I'm at now, and I think he's real proud of our accomplishments. I was working on a family business, you know, in the clam boats, going out in the ocean 24 hours at a time, and it gets pretty hard in the winter time, you know, and it gets pretty cold, and you got to work 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's nasty out. It kind of made me appreciate what I have now. Yeah, I mean, now I got the best of everything, it seems like. You know, I got the best crew chief and owner that I could ever ask for. He's always offering advice and telling me what I should and shouldn't do. I think the first time I actually talked to him was at Richmond. We were there testing for that race with our own car, and he was there testing the Chance 2 car. And Richie Gilmore introduced us, and we sat there and talked for a few minutes. And, you know, he's kind of just helped me get on my feet. You know, he's giving me a place to stay until I get up and going and find a place to live and you know, get to where I can afford it and everything like that. So, you know, I got to thank him. I mean, he's been great. Been good friends with him. He's treated me real well. And that's the best part, is just being really good friends with him. He's a great guy, and I like hanging out. We have a good time together, do a lot of the same things. So it's been fun. You're a friend of mine. It's kind of weird. I went out there the first time, and I felt like I was lost for, you know, 3 or 4 laps. It's like, you know, obviously both ends are different. It's like you're going down the straightaway and you're trying to figure out if you're going into turn 3 or if you're going into turn 1. And after I figured that out, everything's all right. And then I actually got too comfortable, ended up getting my first Darlington stripe. Well, I really didn't know what it would be like. I just knew I wanted to be part of it. And I just wanted to drive race cars. That's all I ever wanted to do. And it's all I've ever worked for and worked towards, and kind of getting to live out my dream.
And speaking of living out your dreams, Jamie McMurray in the 42 car joining us, and we saw his dramatic battle to the end in last year's Busch race. Thanks for joining us here in the Hollywood Hotel.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm a little bit nervous right now. I'm scared of what's going to come.
But you never know with Jeff Hammond sitting between you. Could be trouble.
Wait, I'm not Darrell Waltrip. I'm not after you. I'm not going to be ambushing you.
Yeah, these two share the same hairstylist, so that's trouble. It's good that you have the hat on compared to him. All right, but we just heard Martin Truex Jr. I kid because I care. Talk about the first time he went on this track. Now, you won your first Cup race before you won your first Busch race, but what about the first time you came on this track? What do you remember about it?
I watched Mark Martin a lot before I came here. He was so good here and at Darlington. The crew chief I had at the time, that's David Green's crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, you know, he told me to watch Mark and just get as close to the wall as you can. And I did that the first few times I was here, and I kept hitting it. So now I try to get as far away from it as I can when I get in the corner. I try not to ride right next to it. Well,
you had a good instructor about watching Mark Martin, but how about today? Do you miss not being out there? I mean, especially after last year, you came so close to winning here.
Yeah, I tell you what, I made a bad comment to a Busch sponsor about 4 months ago. I wanted to run some Busch races this year, and I said, you know, I don't feel like I have time to do personal appearances. So I messed up because they didn't come sponsor a Busch car. So right now I'm willing to do whatever it is to get back in a Busch car. I'm bored to tears with having not only this afternoon off, but also not getting to run happy hour last night. I really miss it. So hoping that next year we can find a sponsor that's willing to run. I'll run every Busch race if they'll let me. I'd even like to run the truck races on the weekends we race trucks.
We like Martin Truex. We saw. What's the best way, Jamie, to come up through the ranks? Is there a best way?
Yeah, I really like the way that I did through. I mean, you know, raced late models locally, and then went to the Truck Series, and then the Busch Series, and then Cup. I think that is a wonderful way, because the competition level is so tough if you just jump right into Busch or go straight from trucks to Cup. I really like the way that I did it. I think that if I had a son and had to put him through that, that's exactly how I'd do it.
All right, speaking of Truex, he's in the top 10 as we take a look at the Busch points so far this year. Remember, they had an off weekend last weekend, so this is the 4th race of the 34 race Busch season, and Kevin Harvick, your leader, but Truex is 8th in the championship race, and Harvick the points leader, but will not drive for the entire Busch season. Series regulars doing well, including Johnny Sauter and Bobby Hamilton. Hamilton, another junior. He's with one of our senior correspondents, Steve Burns. Steve?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And the Bobby Hamilton Jr. elevator on the way up. A year ago, he was 14th in points. Now you're 3rd. You've never won here, but your dad won here a year ago in a truck. Has Dad taught you the way to victory lane?
I was hoping so till about happy hour. I was like, wait a minute, maybe I forgot something. But the Marines Ford Taurus is okay. We tried a little bit of everything here, so used it for a great test session. Harold just went back to his notes last night. We sat in the motorhome, probably watched qualifying 4 or 5 times, and went through notes, just picking things on the car, and then kind of pinpointing them in happy hour and stuff, and just completely built our race car. So hopefully with the stuff we made, changes this morning, it'll be okay.
Best of luck, Chris Myers.
Thanks, Steve. Bobby Jr., a proud son. His father winning the Craftsman Truck Series race in Atlanta last week, and they'll have a race here at this track in the Truck Series. We'll be back here on FX as we count you down to Busch Racing from Darlington. The lady in black with a little foam of padding and steel reinforcements. We'll explain and see how that may change or alter the race that you'll see today here on FX. This year the walls are safer at Darlington. SAFER refers to the steel and foam energy reduction barrier, which makes the walls here and at some other tracks softer. It's a new system that already is in place at 5 other NASCAR Nextel Cup tracks. It's making its debut here at Darlington. Walls can't talk, but Dick Berggren can. Dick?
Yeah, these walls are in all 4 corners here at Darlington. Here's how they're made up. There are 10 pieces of impact-absorbing foam that go between the old concrete wall and these pieces of steel tubing. And this whole thing is lashed against the old concrete wall. Now, the drivers love this. You'd rather hit something soft like that than you would a piece of concrete. But I tell you what, it's really narrowed up the racetrack. Here is the actual racing groove, and there's hardly room here to park 2 cars side by side. Never mind running them down here at 170 miles an hour, and you can't get below this point where we've got the dotted line because the racetrack flattens out, and that'll shoot you up into the wall. Let's go to Jeff Hammond.
Well, Jamie, if you happen to get up into the wall, what can we do out there to keep it from getting the thing up in there? Some of these guys that put 4x4s in, you've got a piece of 1 3/4 tubing. What about you? Have you got one of these in your car?
It's ironic I'm here doing this show because the 40 team just went to the lumberyard to pick this up. We're going to go ahead and put this stuff in for tomorrow.
So it's real important that if you do get up against the wall, that you have this kind of cushion in your race car as well as the walls themselves, so when you do get up into, because as we've all been saying all along, it's inevitable you will touch this wall sometime during the day.
Yeah, you're going to get into it, and the thing is that just saves the rear end from getting pushed over. The body damage isn't that big a deal. It's just knocking the suspension off the car.
So what it actually will do, we'll take it almost like slip this in behind this fender right here, and it will actually kind of hold this fender out against and away from the tire. That's what these guys are doing. They're putting it between the roll cage to where the tires themselves, when you do get in the wall, will not get into the tire that hard. Chris?
Thanks, Jeff. And Jamie, that's a pretty good tandem. You have to figure with the crew chief, Jeff Hammond, and a driver, Jamie McMurray, they would be tough to beat. 3 former Darlington Busch Series winners in action today, and there are 9 drivers that are racing here for the first time in the Busch Series. And we'll be back as we count you down to the race from Darlington. You got to look at the drivers getting ready. Cloudy blue skies ahead, and racing coming your way in just a moment. Welcome back to Darlington Raceway, the original layout modified to avoid disturbing a minnow pond. And it was a peanut farm at one time. Now it's a terrific place to see racing, and Casey Kane is standing by. He'll be racing in just a moment with our Matt Yoakum. Matt?
Casey Kane scored his best career start on the outside of the front row here at Darlington, talking to Greg Biffle about lines. Your car better than it was here last year?
Yeah, it's definitely better. The Great Clips team did a good job, and it's better mainly through 3 and 4, so that's good. We'll see what happens.
Definitely going to be on the gas today. 2 top 10s here last year, looking for his first Darlington win. To Steve Burns.
Well, Matt, Jeff Burton has 4 wins here at this racetrack in this series. Now, we know you're good, but how about your car? We know you guys had some issues with the brakes and a cross member.
Well, you see, the car and the driver are together, so you don't have one good car and one bad driver. You got to have both good for it to work. But so when I'm good, my car is good. All right. So we had a brake issue yesterday, and we hope we have that fixed. From what they say, I believe we have it fixed. Short of that, everything was great. We really ran well. The car drove really, really good in race trim, and looking forward to today. It's a little bit sunnier than it was when we ran, so that's going to make a little difference. And keeping the Cotman Ford off the wall is going to be an issue today, too. There's a lot of tore-up race cars in here. We don't need that to be one of them.
Good luck, Jeff Burton. Thank you. Chris Myers.
Thanks, Steve. And Jeff, back in the Hollywood Hotel with Jeff Hammond and Jamie McMurray. How distracting to a driver when there are some last-minute adjustments like that before you get in the car at this stage?
Well, I think for Jeff it's not that big a deal because he's so good here, but it just depends on what they're changing. Brakes are a huge issue. You don't use a lot of brakes here, but they can really mess you up if they're not right. And
we saw, we got an 18-year-old driver and Kyle Busch here. What about overall, whether it's the Busch Series or Cup Series, you're 27, the attitude of the young drivers, foot to the floor, almost no fear. How has that changed, or how is that affecting the race?
Well, here you just have to always respect the racetrack, and that's what everybody told me. And the worst thing you can do to me at Darlington is relax, because the moment you relax is when you get up into the wall, and it only takes one time to run your whole day. So I was talking to David Strimmy last night. He got into the wall with 2 minutes to go in happy hour, and he said, my car was good, and I relaxed. And he said, I got into the wall, and, I spent all morning fixing it. So just stay up on the wheel and just always respect this racetrack.
So is it hard to keep your focus at a place like Darlington here, or is it just, what happens during the course of it?
Yeah, I think it just all depends on how your car is. I've always had pretty good cars here. So for me, like I said, I don't get right up against the wall. If you watch, I try to stay at least a car length away, and I just kind of give myself a little bit of a cushion. A
little bit of insurance there.
Yeah.
You said you wish you'd be out there racing. Is there a driver that you enjoy or two enjoy watching more than another when you watch a race like today? In
the Busch Series, I think Kyle Busch is going to be fun to watch. He reminds me of Greg Biffle in that he is always sideways. And Greg has run so well here in the Busch races and in the Cup races. So I think Kyle will be fun to watch.
All right, Jamie McMurray will hang with us to watch the race here on FX. 21 states represented, only one from South Carolina, driver Jason Keller, as we go trackside for opening ceremonies.
At the moment that we honor America with our national anthem, the invocation will be presented by Dr. Jerry Hunter.
Lord, thank you for this day, and thank you for the freedom in our country. We ask protection and safety of our drivers, our fans, and all the participants. And all this we pray in Christ's name. Amen.
The colors will be presented by the Darlington High School Junior ROTC. Today's flyby will be presented by the United States Navy Strike Force Squadron 106 from Oceana Naval Air Station in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And our national anthem will be performed by Mary Susan Breeden of Darlington.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red alert, the bursting air gave proof through the night that a flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Too tough to tame. We'll see. Hey, Jamie McMurray, as we look at the drivers who are getting ready to get in their car, any kind of ritual or superstition that you go through before you get in the car?
I always make sure I put my right glove on my right knee and my left glove on my left knee, and then I'm really weird about when Donnie shakes my hand. He doesn't really shake it. He sits in there and he gives me 2 pats. And I always make sure I get both of those before it's time to go.
We'll be back with the start of the race in just a moment.
The track may have just found a new theme song. We're at Darlington, the track Too Tough to Tame, for the NASCAR Busch Series on FX, presented by Yamaha. We're going to have our Castrol starting grid scroll across the bottom of the screen so you can see where your favorite driver lines up today as we set the race for you. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds and three-time Winston Cup champ Darrell Waltrip, who's raced here 66 times and piled up a total of 7 victories. This track is all about experience, all about all the time that you spent here. What's up with the front row? They have a total of 4 starts here between them, and they average 20 and a half years old. Where is all that experience?
No fear. They just don't. They don't know what. They don't know what. This is like a great adventure. Every time you come here, you'll hear people leave here saying, "You know, I never seen anything like that before." And that's what this track does to you. It reaches out and it touches you. And it doesn't touch you lightly and slightly either.
Or
politely.
But you know, you heard Jamie McMurray talking about his teammate David Stremme, who got comfortable yesterday in practice, and that wall reached out and grabbed him. But the problem these guys have, you'll hear the crew chiefs, the spotters say, race the racetrack, race the racetrack. But you've got those kids up there, Casey Kane and Kyle Busch, they've got good race cars. This is a short race. It's not 400 or 500 miles. It's only 200 miles, so you have to be aggressively patient.
And Darrell, they have narrowed up the racetrack with the installation of these safer barriers. Now, really, what does that mean for the driver?
Well, of course, it changes the track for some of the older drivers that have raced here a lot. But again, I think the youth and the inexperience and not really being accustomed to this racetrack in the first place, it's not going to have any effect on them at all. Matter of fact, it's going to be easier because they're softer.
They don't know what they don't know.
That's right.
All right, let's go trackside for today's command.
Ladies and gentlemen, with the most exciting words in the world of motorsports, our Grand Marshal Clyde Edwards.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Cars fire, the grid clears, and we're set to go racing at Darlington. Let's join Speedway Illustrated's Dick Berggren.
The fastest teams get to pick their pits first, and there are certain advantages to certain pits. For example, pick a pit way down there by turn 4. The car has a flat tire. You don't have to flop all the way down pit road to get to your pit to fix it. Pick a pit way down there by turn 1, and if you're the leader, you get to drive down there, make your pit stop, you get out, you don't have to drive through any traffic at all. A lot of the fast guys like being down there. Or you can pick a pit like Kenny Wallace' crew did. This one right here has a break in the wall just beyond it, so nobody's ever going to be parked in front of Kenny, and every time he makes a pit stop, boom, he's going to go right back out on the racetrack.
A lot of strategy involved there.
Well, there is, but if we're going to pit under caution, I want to be right down there. That way you only have to go a little ways to beat those guys off pit road.
Engines come to temperature, and the pace truck will move the field out onto NASCAR's most venerable racetrack, and we're going to race for 200 miles. Welcome back to Darlington Raceway, an infield full of fans, lots of flags in the breeze, a lot of spirit here.
There you see our weather. Air temperature is 66 degrees, but not only is the temperature difference in both ends, this racetrack is shaped like an egg. You'll get it handling good in one end, what we call the big end, which is turn 1 and 2, and it will not be driving very good in the little end, which is 3 and 4.
Track conditions from Bombardier ATV, Paula No One. Castrol starting grid will scroll through as we go to Matt Yoakum.
Back in 2002, Greg Biffle scored his best career finish here at Darlington, a second. He was chasing his teammate Jeff Burton. Now Burton's in a different car. This is the exact same car that Burton led every lap in that race and swept both races in 2002. Greg Biffle says this car is awesome, and he wants to prove it today, scoring his first Darlington win. To Steve Burns.
Well, Michael Waltrip has finished 4th at Rockingham and then 4th again at Las Vegas in the same race car. Hey, why not bring the same car here to Darlington? She's a little flatter on the right side. He got his Darlington stripe yesterday. Team beat it out with a hammer, so she's race ready. Let's go upstairs to the booth.
Thanks, Steve. Kyle Busch will pit. They consulted with NASCAR, who gave them permission to come down pit road and remove a loose piece of equipment from inside the car. We're told it's a water bottle. He will be able to go back out and get his position at the head of the field.
Mike, there's 43 cars in this field. I walked through the garage area this morning. I looked the right side of every race car. 15 or more cars had damage on the right side, and the race had not even started, obviously.
And you're surprised because?
Not surprised a bit. Maybe surprised the number wasn't bigger.
Right. 2 cars go to the tail of the field, Andy Ponstein and Derek Cope, both in Fords.
And just following up a little on what Larry said, they haven't even been racing anybody. They've been out there by themselves for the most part. So you can imagine what it's going to be like when they start trying to run 2 abreast in these turns where that's almost impossible to do.
Onboard cameras today include Hermie Sadler, who's carrying our helmet cam. That is the view from behind the visor, right at the corner of the inside of Hermie's helmet.
It kind of looks like one of those video games, you know, like the IMAX or something, looking at the track and the cars that way.
We'll also ride today with Jason Keller, Kenny Wallace, David Stremme, and Michael Waltrip.
Here you see our race analysis. Remember, kind of a short race, 200 miles, pit road speed 45 miles per hour. Yeah, they can go 70, 80 laps on fuel, but this is going to be the tire window. You heard Jeff Hammond talking about how much this place eats tires. Trust me, about 20 to 30 laps, a lot of them will be wanting tires. And as they also stated, only 3 sets of tires per Busch rules under caution.
Like everything at Darlington, this race has a lot of history. The first of these races was won in 1952 by Curtis Turner, who was also the pole sitter. It was then the combined modified sportsman division race. 4 lead changes among 3 drivers. Average speed slowed by 3 cautions to 87.6 miles per hour.
Yeah, and you know one thing, Larry, about the tires, I think that if I'm leading the race and I'm going, you know, I still got fuel in the tank, we've seen it the last couple of races where guys are getting bitten by coming in the pit early and the caution coming out. So that's something the crew chiefs are really going to have to consider.
The guys that will roll the dice on that, as Kevin Harvick did last month at Rockingham, is guys that maybe don't have a top 5 car, but they maybe got a top 15 car. Roll the dice because you know this lady in black will give you a caution.
Particularly when you got new tires, old tire situation where the closing rate is so much different.
Kevin Harvick with Childress teammate Ron Hornaday as the field forms up out of turn number 2.
And right now your heart is pounding out of your chest at this racetrack because you don't really know for sure what you got under you right now. This track is, they practiced yesterday afternoon. It's a little hotter, it's a little slicker. It can change everything about the setup on your car.
Yeah, happy hour, their final practice was almost close to dark last night. Most of them yesterday during the practice before qualifying in the heat of the day opted to work on their race practice, race setup.
And between now and the Nextel Cup race tomorrow, rain is expected overnight. That will change the track once again.
Yes, it will. It's supposed to be cooler tomorrow, too, which is good news for the Cup guys.
Well, DW, we're on a racetrack that was designed for 80 miles an hour. We're going to be running 170 miles an hour. Reach up there and pull them belts tight one more time.
You got that right. We're coming down here, and they're getting ready to wave the green flag on these boys. Boogity, 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 boys. Let's go racing.
Looked like the 00 Jason Leffler didn't get going. Kevin Harvick in the 21 car had to shoot to the inside. I'm going to question that move right there based on the rules we saw last year about not passing to the left-hand side before the start-finish line.
That was so obvious. So, I mean, you know, you're right here looking down at it. I'd say that's a no call.
It puts Harvick in 5th as they come around to complete lap 1. Kyle Busch, Casey Kane, Kenny Wallace, Greg Biffle, Harvick, then Leffler, David Green.
I think, Larry, on the start there, the 00, he just didn't go, and I mean, we're looking right down at it, and it was obvious what happened. I think that would be acceptable in my book.
And I think as long as Kevin Harvick made an attempt to get back in line and not make the pass before the start-finish line, no harm, no foul.
Exactly. They brought the cars way, way down here to the start-finish line before they dropped the green, so I don't think everybody was quite ready.
No penalty, Darrell. NASCAR saw it the way we did.
I think it's a good call.
Is there another track that the field gets single file so quickly, trying to just start running time trial laps and find out, as you said, find out what's under you?
Well, we couldn't. It's very difficult to run side by side here before. Now we've taken 30 inches of racetrack away, so it's almost impossible. People will try it, but it's almost impossible. You're really going to have to set people up. This is, I always like to tell you, this is a track where you've got to anticipate. Where am I going to catch the guy so I can make the pass?
Tell you what, this guy right here in that 9 car, Jeff Burton, remember he started back in 17th position. He's being patiently aggressive. He knows he needs to get that car up to the front, and he has a good race car.
The handle will come off these things in a hurry. As soon as the tires get hot and the buildup comes in, it gets in the tires, you're going to slide around more than you are right now. So go and get all you can while the car's good.
Greg Biffle blasted past Kenny Wallace for a change of 3rd place as we ride with Hermie Sadler.
Oh, that's a great shot, folks. I mean, this is, look, you're seeing just exactly what the driver sees. And you can see him go down in the corner. He clips the apron there going into 3. Back up in the gas.
And just notice how early he picked the throttle up, but he had to roll back out of it. That corner goes forever over there.
Actually, that was going into turn 1 there. Now we're coming down the back, headed down into turn 3. Car's handling pretty good for him. He's got a big old handful of steering wheel, which is not too bad here.
Jeff Burton picked up another spot. He got past Bobby Hamilton to move up to 13th. And he's coming.
Yes, he is. When I walked through that garage area this morning, everybody was pointing at this 9 car, Jeff Burton. And his crew chief, Tony Liberati, he was the crew chief for Todd Bodine for that race that he won a year ago here.
Tracking Martin Truex, looking underneath Casey Atwood's number 14.
And you got to be so careful. When you get down under somebody like that, the back end just wants to step out ever so slightly. You correct, and there's no room, and you're into the car on the outside of you.
Daryl, there's probably another racetrack we go to where give and take between these drivers is as important as here.
You have got to understand that there are only certain places you can pass and make it safe for everybody, or make it good for everybody.
And Jeff Burton is showing us those spots. He's moved past Truex. Andy Ponstein on pit road with the hood up. That'll be a lengthy stop.
You know, Mike, really no one was able to test here because of the safer barriers being installed. Dale Earnhardt Jr. on our trackside show last night said he really worked with Martin Truex on the video game of Darlington.
Neat. Jamie McMurray is with us. Jamie, how long did it take you to learn where the sweet spots are in this racetrack before you want to try to make a pass?
Well, I think the easiest place to pass here is to let off a little bit early, get into turn 1, and try to drive underneath the guy between 1 and 2. And what happens is if you get underneath the guy, they have to let you go. If you're on the inside, the guy will wreck on the outside. So that's part of the reason you don't see a lot of caution flags here is because you can't race the guys. I mean, if you do, you'll bring a caution out. So like Casey did a good job there. You just got to let off and let the guy go.
It's like I always say, if I got to come to a place where I'm not going to race the competition, I got to race the track, that makes it difficult.
Kyle Busch by 0.2 of a second over Casey Kane, Greg Biffle, and Kenny Wallace. Let's go to the leaders pit. Matt.
Kyle Busch's father, Tom, is also a spotter. He just reminded his son to run your own pace. That's exactly what Kyle told me he was going to try to do. He said this place was the best teacher I could have ever asked for on how to manage your tires. Last year when he ran the Busch race here and finished second, he had a mediocre car, he said. The lapse times were just mediocre. He'd let guys go by. But later in the run, because he didn't over-abuse his tires, he caught back up and passed them and finished second. He's going to try to run his own race again here today.
Well, I know what his own race is going to be here in about a lap or two. It's going to be Greg Biffle in that 60 car because he is coming.
Brad Teague has come to pit road, and Jeff Burton has moved up into the top 10. 10 laps complete in Darlington. Welcome back to the NASCAR Busch Series presented by Yamaha. Today's race, the Diamond Hill Plywood 200. Rookie Kyle Busch from the pole has led every lap, but he almost, Darrell, made a bad rookie mistake.
Well, he did, and again, you got to look up there and you say, okay, I don't want to catch this cat coming off of turn 2 or anywhere in the middle of turns 1 and 2. You can see that car right there.
It's Jason Schuler in the 10 car.
Yeah, he's trying to stay down out of the way, but he anticipated that the 5 was going to go around on the outside, but he didn't. And here's the 60 who's going around on the outside.
Biffle quick to capitalize, and Kyle Busch almost lost that race car instead of just positions.
You know, the coincidence of that yesterday, the same thing happened with those 2 race cars in practice yesterday. But, Matt, I think Kyle Busch still has a good race car.
He has a great race car, Larry. Now it's Lance McGrew's job to calm down his driver. Kyle's biggest concern was possible damage to the front, but looking at our video, on top of his pit box. Lance McGrew could see that there wasn't any damage. He said, your car looks clean. Just get back into your rhythm.
Darrell, another thing he was faced with, the closing rate here compared to other super speedways. The differences in speed between fast and slow cars can be huge.
Yeah, there's no way that the number 10 car that Schuler's driving can be going up to the minimum speed. I mean, he's getting lapped, every 10 laps.
Well, our leaders are running mid-31s. Jason Schuler's last lap was mid-37s.
And trust me, you cannot get out of the way here. It's harder to drive a slow car here than it is to drive a competitive car. And the other thing that happens when you're in a slow car, you keep having to move over, you keep picking up debris on your tires, you can never get back up to speed.
Tell you what, our leader, Greg Biffle, in that 60, he is having to maneuver past a lot of lap cars right now. And right now, Casey Kane is caught up to him, and it's allowed Kyle Busch in the 5 car to catch him.
Inside, outside, pass him where you catch him. Go down to the apron if you have to. Oh, my gosh.
Kyle Busch almost had to completely stop his race car.
That was like the old days there. We used to use the apron a lot.
And Casey Kane just did. He passed that lap car on the apron. Now, still coming up through the field, that 9 of Jeff Burton. He is up to 8th, battling for 7th. Steve Burns.
Mike Joy, Jeff Burton just radioed moments ago to crew chief Tony Rambo Liberati and said, I need just a little bit more help turning in the corner. Rambo radio back said, 10-4, you're coming up on traffic. Be patient. Use your head. Dick Berger.
Wallace in the number 23 car had started in the 3rd position. He has dropped 2 spots since then. The problem,
Turn 4, Dick. A car's around, and he had help.
Spinning is out.
Yep, 16 of Justin Ashburn got into that corner, maybe a little quicker than he wanted, got tagged from behind and spun.
That's the 2nd car he's used up this weekend. He crashed one here in practice on Friday and wadded it up pretty good as well.
First caution of the day. It comes at lap 21.
That's good. That's a great time to have a caution. Now you've got time to analyze your car, kind of know what you need to do, make some quick adjustments here on this pit stop, and go back and have a whole lot better race car.
And this is entering turn 3.
Now let's see what happens here. Oh, this looks like it. Hornaday was down under him, and I'm not so sure that.
Looked like Ron Hornaday got a bunch of damage to his right front.
Yeah, he did. You expect people. See, the 16 starts to move down, and Ashburn started to move down, and when he did, Hornaday was there, and of course Truex is right up in the middle of that too. It looks like he may have gotten some damage.
The 8 car.
One lap before all that happened.
Oh, yeah.
Watch the leaders trying to get past some traffic here. That's Derek Cope on the inside.
Yeah,
there's the 16.
Yeah, he just got into the fence down there. He's been up the right side, so he had some handling issues already.
And that's when Casey Kane went to the apron to get around, I believe, the 24 of Mike Harmon.
Now the field is bunched up behind the pace truck, but a lot like in the Nextel Cup race last week at Atlanta, they have decided to leave pit road closed for 1 lap just so they can get the field bunched up, figure out who gets the pardon, the free pass, and just kind of makes things more organized.
Another driver at a speed right through there is Michael Waltrip. Let's watch and listen.
Got a spin in front of you. Back it down, go high. Back it down, back it down, back it down, back it down. He's right up against the wall. Got plenty of room down low. He's coming down. Nice job right there.
Nice job by Michael Waltrip. Nice job by his spotter. You know, Darrell, when you're sliding around here, it don't take much of a touch to spin you around.
No, and
you're sliding anyhow.
Hornaday was closing on him so fast that it didn't take a lot. Like he got into him pretty hard.
And I would anticipate we have 23 laps. Remember, these guys only have 3 sets of tires, but Darrell, I would anticipate they're probably going to go ahead and take advantage of one of those sets of tires plus adjustments.
Yeah, we'll worry about how many we got left when the time comes. Right now, I need 4 new ones.
Greg Biffle, our leader at 23 laps. Casey Kane, Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, Kenny Wallace are the front 5. Johnny Benson, David Green, Jeff Burton, Jason Leffler, and Ron Hornaday complete the top 10 as we're about to see the first pit stops of the day.
And pit stops are obviously important everywhere we go, but we've seen how hard it is to pass here. So if you guys can on pit road can pick your driver up a position, boy, it's much easier to pass them on pit road than it is out there on that racetrack, especially fighting all this lap traffic.
And if I'm going to, you know, if I just break even, I'll be happy. But if you can gain me some spots, that'd be really well. I'd like that a lot, too.
Derek Cope has been identified as the first car 1 lap down at the time of the caution, so he will get the free pass after pit stops are concluded.
Speaking of pit stops, here all the leaders come. Pit road, 4 tires and adjustments, Dick Bergman. Kenny Wallace is going to take 4 tires for sure, and the adjustment they are going to make is in the left front tire to try to help him get off the corners. The car is perfect everywhere on the racetrack, but coming out of the turns where it's pushing a little bit, the crew now waving him in. They are on the wall. They're ready to go. They are over the wall. Jason Hatch and Jason Everhart are carrying the front tires. Steve Burns.
Dick, Jeff Burton wants more forward bite. He says he's tight on entry, 1 pound out of the right front tire and a ½ pound out of the left side tires. Matt Yoakum.
Biffle, Kane, Busch, and Harvey, the top 4 all tight. Brad Perry will try to fix Greg Biffle's Ford with a chassis adjustment. Also, he's going to shuffle the air pressure on all 4 corners to just try to free up that race car. It's going to be a close battle off pit road. A little bit of trouble on the left front. The leader's going to lose a number of spots.
Boy, it was quite a battle down there between Kevin Harvick in the 21 and Kyle Busch in the 5. Both those pit crews picking their guys up position during their pit stops.
I think Kyle may have had the edge there. Jamie McMurray, is this a tough pit road to get in and out?
Well, it is, because if you can see there about halfway down, there's 2 or 3 walls that you have to go around. I think the biggest thing right now is that the guys that qualified in the top 10 all had to start on scuffed tires. And I noticed in happy hour this morning, it was about 3 or 4 tenths a lap for the first 10 or 15 laps, and the car just doesn't feel very good on scuff. So all these guys now that were in the top 10 qualifying get to put stickers back on, and they're all going to be a lot happier with their car.
Dick Bergman.
Big troubles for Ron Hornaday. Long pit stop. Trouble in the right front corner. They've got crash damage, Mike.
Thanks, Dick. Let's show you the problems for Greg Biffle, car 60.
So on the left side, they've already changed their right side tires. See the NASCAR official standing right there. They lost a lug off the left front. He had to put it on there. You cannot leave. You have 5 lug nuts on. You see he lost 5, 6 positions. Here's the race off pit road. Darrell, we talked about it in the beginning. Give me that first pit box on the caution. I'll beat him off pit road.
Amen, brother.
And Kevin Harvick did as you asked. Picked up 2 spots on pit road. He's now second behind Kyle Busch.
Under caution at Darlington at the Hollywood Hotel with Jeff Hammond and Chris Myers. You're listening to comments from Jamie McMurray, who will be in action tomorrow on Fox. Let's talk about 18-year-old Kyle Busch and the situation he's in right now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Kyle just didn't anticipate which way Jason Schuler was going to go, and I heard Darrell say, you know, when you can't get out of the way, when your car's not right, if you touch the brakes, it goes up, and if you don't touch the brakes, it wants to slide up. So Jason was just trying to get out of the way, and Kyle just didn't anticipate which way he was going to go, and Greg and Casey both got by him, but I watched Kyle's times once he got back to third, and he was still one of the fastest cars, so I think he's going to be okay. Part of what can happen. 27 laps in here at Darlington. Let's go back upstairs, rejoin Larry, Darrell, and Mike.
And first to Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, listening to Jeff Burton, they had a little bit of trouble on that pit stop. They lost 2 positions. They went from 8th to 10th, but Jeff actually acted as the cheerleader. Mike, he said, come on, guys, we got to do better than that. Shake it off. We'll get them. Tony Liberati's saying, Jeff, you got the best car out there. Just be patient.
All right, for the restart, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Kenny Wallace, Casey Kane, David Green, Johnny Benson, Greg Biffle, Martin Truex.
You can't take the best car.
Get ready, green.
Can't take the best car and put him in a hole every time he comes into pits, or, you know, he already had to dig out of a hole where he started, so you don't want to keep doing that to him, or something will happen in front of him he can't avoid.
Not at this place.
We have 10 cars a lap down. Why did only 1 come and line up beside the leader?
Scared to get up there. I don't want up there. You go on.
You go up there.
Safer back here. Oh, you know, if you can't run fast enough to get out of the way, again, it's just hard to get out of the way.
Kevin Harvick working over Kyle Busch for the lead.
Harvick had a pretty good car. It wasn't a fast car in happy hour final practice yesterday, but it was a good, consistent car on those long runs.
But you know, it's just like week in and week out with that 21 car and Harvick. They seem to figure out a way to get to the front and hold them off. You know, maybe they don't have the best car, but Harvick does such a great job once he gets out front of being hard to get around.
Jeff Burton coming back, trying to regain the 3 spots he lost in the pit lane and more.
I tell you, that's a pretty good car he's racing right there. David Green in that 37 car. We were watching him in the first part of this race. His car seemed like it was really coming on late stages. But David Green's a smart race car driver. He knew Jeff Burton called him. No sense in racing him this early.
Kenny Wallace under pressure from Casey Kane off turn 4. 3rd place is going to change hands there.
It's one of those places where you put the classic slide job on the guy. If you can get under him and get alongside of him, he's got to let you go.
Now right behind Wallace, Johnny Benson. One of the 2 Dodges in the top 5. He's in that number 1.
You know, this is Johnny's first Busch race here since 1995, but just remember, this is the race team that we watched that exciting finish a year ago with our man down in the Hollywood Hotel, Jamie McMurray, sliding across the finish line to finish 2nd. Johnny's got a good race car, though.
He's got a good run on Wallace for 4th place.
Same car that Johnny set on the pole with back at Rockingham last month and was disqualified because of a front spring infraction.
And see, guys that have raced here some, they know when to let up and let the guy go. Like I've let up on the straightaway here before, so I wouldn't catch a guy in the wrong place. Kind of ease out of it and then have that momentum coming off the corner or in the middle of the corner to get around it.
Darrell, it looks to me a bit like the psychology of road racing. Catch him and pass him where you're not going to slow up or damage the chances of either car.
And that's what the smart guys that have raced here a lot know. They know that, okay, I'm going to let up on the straightaway, let this cat get in front of me. That way we're not in either one's harm way.
Jeff Burton in the 9, he just went by Kenny Wallace in the 23 car, so he's up to 6th position, and he is coming. So right there, he's 2 miles an hour faster than our leader, Kyle Busch, in the 5.
Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick in Chevrolets, Casey Kane and Johnny Benson in Dodges, Greg Biffle and Jeff Burton in Fords. You're watching the NASCAR Busch Series on FX, presented by Yamaha. 38 laps complete in the Diamond Hill Plywood 200 at Darlington, South Carolina. Kyle Busch leading Kevin Harvick by half a second. Casey Kane another 4/10 back. Greg Biffle 1.3 off the lead. Jeff Burton closing. Then Johnny Benson, Kenny Wallace, David Green, and Michael Waltrip in 9th place trying to gain some ground. Steve?
All clear, all clear.
And Mike, before the pit stop, Michael Waltrip said, I'm loose. I don't have any grip. So they made some adjustments. They put some wedge in. They took 1 pound out of the right rear tire and 1 out of the left front. Let's go to Matt.
Kevin Harvick chasing young Kyle Busch, stalking there in 2nd place. Before that stop on lap 24, he said the car was just a tick on the tight side, but no changes. The guy that he's chasing, Kyle Busch, the concern there, he feels like there's something loose in the back of the car when he comes off the banking off of 4 and off of 2. His crew chief, Lance McGrew, looked at the car coming down the straightaway, looked at our video, said, I think the car's fine. Let's just wait and see how the car reacts when the pressures build up.
Tell you what, speaking of pressure building up right now, Casey Kane in that 38 car, he has pressure from Greg Biffle in the 60 and Jeff Burton in the 9. It's not going to be pressure for long. Looks like Casey Kane's going to go from 3rd to 5th in about a half a lap.
He lost a little momentum off of 2 over there the lap before, and that allowed Burton and them to close right up on him, and now they made the pass, so he just lost a little speed over there.
But Darrell, getting a good handling car here, it's like walking a tightrope. I mean, you can't be loose or pushing anywhere we race, but if there's ever a place you have to try to be right on that neutral line, it's right here at Darlington.
Yeah, nobody's car handles great here. It's just whose handles the best of what's out there.
Casey Kane was told by his Nextel Cup crew chief Tommy Baldwin to bring that egg to put between his foot and the gas pedal for here at Darlington. I wonder if there's been a run on eggs at the local supermarkets.
You know, all year long, Casey Kane in the 38's been working really with a crew chief by committee, but after that 2nd place finish at Las Vegas 2 weeks ago, Jamie Jones was a temporary crew chief then. That earned himself a permanent place as the crew chief.
Jeff Hammond.
One of the things we're sitting there noticing between Jamie McMurray and myself is the damage on the right front fender on that 38 car, as well as it looks like he may be dragging the racetrack a little more than he's been doing earlier. So damage to that right front fender will not help the handle on this race car.
Turn 3, a car's around, and in the fence, there's 2 involved. Turn 3.
Donnie Neunenberger in the 77 and the 51 car of Shane C.
Neuenberger was already around when Sieg got there and sent him the rest of the way along the safer barrier. Second caution of the day comes out with 43 laps completed.
Now, DW, this is where it gets interesting. We've ran about 15 laps since I gave you your last set of tires. We still got over 100 laps to go. I only have 2 sets sitting in these pits.
You better start selling. You better start doing a better selling job than that, buddy. But no, you're right. I think you got to stay out right now. You can't come and get those tires just yet. It's not going to be any fun. The driver's going to whine a lot, but I think you're right. Oh yeah.
Neuenberger in the 77 just loses it, and there's no way for Shane Sieg to go. He's trying to go to the high side, but Neuenberger stayed up there. And Matt Yoakum, how about the story on Casey's right front, the 38 car?
Right before that last stop, Casey came on the radio and told his team, I believe I've got damage on that right front. I hit the 24. You're probably going to have to pull out that fender. That was one of the adjustments they made to that 38 car. They also made an air pressure and track bar adjustment. His car was tight, and it is still tight. To Steve Burns.
Matt Martin Truex Jr. trying to get experience on this tough old racetrack. On the first run, he said the car is really loose off turn 4. After the adjustments of 4 tires, he said now it's tight. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is coaching Truex from his motor coach here in the infield.
And that's what this joint does. Your car, actually it's not tight. It just won't turn. The front wheels will slide. The more rubber they put down, the more the cars run, the more you lose front grip. And you just got the wheels, you got them turned as hard as you can go, but you just can't turn because it's slick.
Truex started 8th, currently 14th.
Now, Darrell, if I'm back there at the back and my car's still not driving good, I may roll the dice and come on and get those 4 fresh tires, try to make that car better. But just remember, whoever changes tires here on this caution, they will only have 1 set of tires left to use under caution. Should it go green, you can change as many as you want under green.
Now, that's wishful thinking.
Yes, Ed Darlington.
You better get back to that selling job we were talking about.
Mike Harmon will get the free pass. He was the first car 1 lap down at the moment of caution. And that will give us 33 cars on the lead lap. There are only 4 cars in the garage: Justin Ashburn, Stan Boyd, Brad Teague, and Jeff Fuller.
Jeff Hammond, what do you think? I believe we've got to stay out there on this set of tires. I don't think we can put another set on this early.
We have no choice, Larry. If we want to have any kind of chance of winning this race at the end, you need to be coaching that driver and saying, buddy, you just got to take care of it. Everybody else is staying after. You got to make him believe he's not in this boat by himself. Right, Jamie?
Yeah, and I'd say this is where you're really going to see the good handling cars come out. It's going to be as slick as can be for these guys, and the guys whose cars are balanced the best, it's really going to shine right now.
Well, guys, pit road is open, and it looks like right now possibly Joe Nemechek in the 87 car. Again, cars kind of at the rear of the tail end of the lead lap cars. Looks like they may be coming and getting that set of tires.
8 of them will hit pit road. We'll recap when we come back to Darlington.
Welcome back here in Darlington. 100 laps to go. 47 laps so far, and already a lot of excitement. 2 lead changes, a couple of cautions. Kyle Busch, the pole sitter, leading the first 15 laps. The 18-year-old from Las Vegas bumps into Jason Schuler. Greg Biffle takes the lead. And on lap 21, Ron Hornaday, Justin Ashburn get into it.
That's what you call it in Darlington. One car going a little too slow, another car going too fast, and running out of room.
Biffle in the pits, a 19.9 second stop, so he drops from 1st to 7th because of a lug nut problem. And then moments ago, our second caution, Donnie Neuenberger, Shane Sieg getting into it. But Kyle Busch, your leader at the moment, as we watch from the Hollywood Hotel. Jamie, let's talk a little bit about the pit strategy and the tire discussion at this point. Your thoughts?
Well, I think Nemechek was the first guy to pit, and if it goes green for 70 laps, he's going to be in really good shape. And this place has a tendency to do that, so you never know. He has nothing to lose, so just have to wait and see how it plays out. For the guys that are racing for points, you just can't take a chance right now.
One thing I want to comment about right now, Chris, watching Jamie up here, I'm telling you right now, if I had a steering wheel in this boy's hand, he'd be driving every lap. He is really into this race right now. It's kind of fun to watch.
He's jumping out of the Hollywood Hotel trying to get in the car. It'll happen soon enough tomorrow. Let's go back upstairs.
Now, lead lap cars that pitted, beginning with Nemechek, who was 16th, Bobby Hamilton Jr., Johnny Sauter, Regan Smith, Damon Lusk, Steve Grissom, Derek Cope, and Hermie Sadler pitted twice. They're the biggest movers of the race. Aaron's do the math. Jeff Burton on the move.
The thing about Nemechek, though, he's going to restart in 25th place. I know he's got tires. These other guys' tires aren't that bad, and by the time he even starts to get up near the front, it'll be time for everybody to make another pit stop.
Time to crank up some of that 12,000 watts of sound. They're sitting there in your living room, so exercise that volume control. Let's crank it up for this restart.
Be ready. Ready. Green, 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 green.
Right here, Greg Biffle in that 60 car, little give and take on Kyle Busch. He knew Greg Biffle has a better race car. No sense in pushing envelope with 100 to go.
Can't race into that corner. Two fast cars can't side by side.
But Darrell, I'm watching the cars come from the back with new tires, and they're trying to slice and dice through traffic, and it gets 3 wide there on occasion. Matt.
Just proving he's a thinking man's driver. Under that caution, Kyle Busch was telling his crew chief Lance McGrew, the Roush cars are killing us. I might as well just drop back and continue at my own pace, let them go, and we'll see if they come back to us.
I don't think Greg Biffle's coming back. I think that's a great strategy. Let him go because he is flying.
And just remember, Kyle Busch is also big picture racing. I mean, he's 12th in the points. He's running all the races, as Greg Biffle is in the 60 as well. But he's also trying to win the Bestest Rookie of the Year award, too. So a lot of things he's trying to accomplish.
One of the things you try to do on these restarts is get as many of them as you can, as fast as you can. And Michael was coming off the corner down here underneath the 00 and Leffler. And you just run out of room, and here he comes up, and man, that was almost huge. He had the 32 car right there as well, and Strimmy, that could have been a big wreck right there.
You know, we're looking out the back at David Strimmy in that 32 car. We talked about him in the beginning of the show. Started back in 16th position, up here flirting with the top 10. Remember, his crew had a lot of repair to do to that race car after final practice, and we have a new leader. We knew it was only a matter of time. Jeff Burton in that 9 car takes the lead from his Nextel Cup teammate, Greg Biffle, here on lap 54.
In that 9 car with Mr. Burton on board, I expect he's going to check right on out.
Kyle Busch, admonished by NASCAR, advised to keep a constant speed coming to the green flag.
Not one of those jackrabbit starts, they call it.
Right, not a penalty, just we're watching you.
Restarts have been a little edgy. Even the start of the race was a little ragged.
Casey Kane in the 38 car running in the 5th position. Now remember, he had that damage to that right front fender. They still have not been able to get to pit road because he didn't pit the last time to repair that damage.
Right behind him, Johnny Benson in the James Finch #1. Let's go to his pit.
Well, Benson started in the 11th position, Mike, so he has moved forward since the drop of the green flag, but he has also struggled with a push. Front end of the car doesn't want to turn as well as he might, and they are also experiencing radio difficulties. Benson's radio, when he keys it, is breaking up, so the crew and we are having a bit of a hard time listening to him. Bobby Hamilton was in the pits briefly during the caution flag. They just made a chassis adjustment. No tire changes. They are conserving their rubber, as is everybody else. And the problem, he's one of those cars that has fresh tires. He's up to 21st position, but Darrell, he's about a third of a lap behind the leaders. You use the newness of those tires up just trying to work this traffic.
Yeah, and once you know, even with new tires, they're going to go away, and it's going to get harder and harder to pass. You got way too many cars to pass to get back to the front.
Jamie McMurray, had you been in 16th, 18th, 20th spot, would you have wanted tires on that caution?
Well, I mean, you just have to hope that it's going to go green. If my car was not good and I was scared of going a lap down, you know, for me not running all the races, most definitely I'd have put tires on and taken my chance. This race always goes green at some point for a long time. And, I mean, those guys had nothing to lose.
David Green up to 7th spot. He's past Kenny Wallace. Here's Matt.
He's on the move early in the race. His team made a wedge and air pressure adjustment. He was too loose in the middle. Now he's a tick on the tight side, but right now tight is fast for Green. He is on the move, one of the fastest cars on the track.
Green in 7th. Let's move up to 4th spot where Kevin Harvick is again trying to hold off Casey Kane. And Benson has caught them.
Boy, I tell you what, there's some serious racing going on right here. Not the kind I like either. You're going to have to really tippy-toe through here if you're a fast car. You got some fast cars in the way and some slow cars. And whew, what a wad.
And right behind this group is Joe Nemechek in that 87 car. Remember, he is one of the cars that came to pit road and changed those 4 tires. As we see Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25. I talked about using your tires up. As Dick Bergman said, they only made a chassis adjustment on that car. No tires on Bobby Hamilton Jr.
And there's a young man right up in the middle of all that, Truex Jr. that in the 8 car. I'm telling you right now, they're going around him on the inside, on the outside. He doesn't know which way to go.
That's Mike Wallace on the inside and Hamilton right behind.
He's got a pretty decent car, but he gets caught out of position and they start going around him and he has not a clue what to do.
Benson around Harvick.
Now that was a gimme. That was a gimme there. I think Harvick knew he was out there and he said, you know, you're a little quicker than I am. He's on by.
You know, Darrell, we heard him talk about that Johnny Benson in one car has a little bit of a push. I think that's not a bad thing at this racetrack. You can't drive it loose, but if you've got a little tug on that steering wheel, not plowing, not shoving the right front, you can drive that race car around this racetrack.
I got 2 options with a push. I'm turning left, so I got the steering wheel. I got the gas pedal, so I hear him working the gas. So when you're turning left and you got the gas pedal, you can handle that. But when that back end jumps out from under you, adios.
Slow car in the apron, turn 2. That'll be the 0 at Jimmy Kitchens. He had brushed the wall a lap or so ago, and he will make it out of harm's way and back to the garage. Jeff Burton leads his teammate Greg Biffle by 0.3 of a second. Welcome back to NASCAR Busch Series Racing presented by Yamaha at Darlington. Greg Biffle has gone to the lead on his Roush Racing stablemate Jeff Burton. Burton in the 9, Biffle in the Charter Communications 60. This is at turn 3 and 4. And now Biffle's opened up a half-second lead.
Yeah, which kind of surprised me because I felt like that Burton in the 9 car would, you know, just kind of sit out there and lead the race. But maybe, just maybe, he's saving his tires and letting Biffle set the pace.
Now, how about Kevin Harvick? He has slid in the field now back to 17th, battling Mike Wallace there at 18th position.
Yeah, I mean, remember, he restarted on that last restart, back up in 2nd position. Matt Yoakum, he's losing over a second a lap.
Larry Mack, about 20 laps ago, Harvick, with the use of his spotter, Danny Culler, he was changing his line, trying to run what the faster teams were running. He says it's just running him too high. There's too much junk up there, making him even looser. He says the car is just hard to hold on to. They're already discussing what changes they're going to do to try to fix that race car on their next stop, but it is way too loose.
Thanks, Matt. Now, of the drivers that made pit stops for tires, the one who's benefited most is Joe Nemechek. He restarted 25th, as we told you. Now he has come to 9th place.
And what he's got right now, yeah, he's probably better than any of these other cars. And we're getting that green flag look to it like Jamie McMurray talked about a while ago. Now, should we get a caution here in the next little bit, everyone will come to pit road, including Joe Nemechek again. But right now, he's passing Michael Waltrip. That moves him into the 8th position. I'm like Jamie, though. Joe wants his thing to go green for a while. He don't want a caution right now as long as he's this good versus the competition.
One car slapped the wall out of turn 2, and I believe that's Paul Menard. And Andy Petry's 33. That took a little speed off it, but not too much. We'll see if there's any relevant damage as he comes by this way.
And Friday here, he spun that car off of turn 4 and didn't make any contact, so he's already used up a little luck.
That car looks pretty much okay.
We got to look at the battle for the lead there. Greg Biffle in the 60 knew Jeff Burton caught him in the 9. It's like, you know, you caught me, go ahead.
These two guys are playing with each other. I mean, I think they're playing games with each other right now. They both drive the same guy. Why not?
Have a little fun.
Johnny Benson's Dodge has caught pole sitter Kyle Busch's Chevrolet. You note the green number and air dam on Benson's car. That's relatively new. They did that so they could tell it apart from the 77, the 38, and the other black cars. Jeff Hammond.
One of the things we're discussing down here, as far as Nemechek's concerned, he needs for the leaders in this run to go green, and so those leaders will hit pit road. He can follow suit. He's closed up so much track position, but then again, that's going to put him back with the same number of sets of tires just about on pit road in case the caution comes out, and give him more of an opportunity to maybe win this race.
And that's a very tough decision for a crew chief, because once those leaders start coming to pit road, you can't be far behind you and give up so much time. But the hopes would be the caution to come out and you'll be a hero then.
Caution is out for the third time today in Darlington, South Carolina. Debris in turn number 2 has given us the caution flag that Joe Nemechek did not want to see, but that Kevin Harvick did.
He was very close to being lapped, but the box that Joe Nemechek has been painted into, it's been 25 laps since he was on pit road to get those 4 tires. He has no choice. He would get lapped in probably 30 laps if he tried to stay out. Remember, these guys only have 3 sets of tires. He almost is forced to come to pit road and get his 3rd set here with about 60 laps to go in this race.
Well, let's see what the strategy is, starting with Dick Berggren.
Johnny Benson's push is about gone away. He's better on old tires than new, so they don't know exactly what to do to the chassis to make it just right. They are going to take 4 tires. Steve?
Well, Jeff Burton says his car is too much on the loose side, but he's afraid to do too much of it because they might go too far the other way and get that car handling tight. So they're talking about taking a ½ pound of air out of the left side tires. Matt Yoakum.
Earlier in the race, Greg Biffle was tight. They made an adjustment. Now he says the car's a little too free. Brad Parrott, his crew chief, and Greg are discussing what changes to make, but also keeping in mind about the weather. It goes from being sunny to overcast, sunny to overcast. The cars are now on pit road. Let's see what they do.
All right, top 3 cars, top to bottom. Jeff Burton, Greg Biffle, Johnny Benson, just the way they came in is the way we'll show them to you on the left of the screen. Steve?
Mike Joy, they have made that air pressure adjustment to the 9 car of Jeff Burton, ½ a pound out of the left side tires. The advantage he has, there's nobody behind him or nobody in front of him. A clear shot out. Dick.
Johnny Benson, they've just torn the windshield cover off. They're allowed to have an extra man over the wall in which to do that. So far, so good on the right side to Matt.
And Greg Biffle hits pit road in the 2nd position. They're going to make a chassis adjustment as the 9 car of Jeff Burton is out. There goes the 1 car. As they come around to the left side, waiting for the jack band, the car goes up. The 37 car, David Green's down and away. The 1 car's away. A semi-slow stop again for Greg Biffle.
I tell you who else I think has had all kinds of trouble on his pit stop is Kyle Busch in that 5 car, but you're right. David Green's group, that 37 group, they shine that time.
Yeah, they're looking for a problem under the 5 car. They complained earlier. Matt told us about a vibration or something going on in the rear of that car. I think they must have figured out what it was and fixed it, or trying to fix it anyway.
And what they're doing right now, they're checking the rear end.
Now they're saying let's push up and down and see if it's a shock.
Guys are sitting right there working on the 5 car, trying to figure out maybe if the chains are grabbing or something is wrong with the 5 because the driver says it doesn't feel good, so they're trying to figure it out. But one of the things I noticed are coming down pit road a minute ago, Joe Nemechek, the guy who made a gamble early on, had a great pit stop right there, and it should move him up in the field. It'll be interesting to see how that 87 car kind of like performs now that he's kind of closed up on these leaders.
Big loser on that stop, Greg Biffle, who came in 1st and went out 5th.
And just to explain what Jeff Hammond was talking about on chains, these guys have chains that hook to the rear end of the frame that makes it easier for the rear end to come up off the ground when they jack it up to change tires, and you just want to make sure you don't have them too tight. Matt, did they find anything?
Larry Mack, they're talking to Kyle Busch right now. Lance McGrew, the crew chief, is. He just told Kyle the chain on the right side is broken. They're talking about what changes to make. Right now, the 60 car. Greg Biffle looking for a win as we shake out these pit stops when we come back.
Today's race is brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and Easy Drinking Busch Light. Busch, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series. Jeff Hammond, you got me tied up in chains. Who sang that song?
I don't know, Mike, but Matt Yoakum was talking about what was wrong with the 5 car. If you look right in here, this little area right there is a chain inside there. It's been encased in what we call like a little plastic rubber deal so it doesn't bind up. But what happens is you adjust these during your practices so you make sure that when you have a pit stop, you can pick the left rear tire up off the ground and make it balance out right. If you get it too short, what happens when you go off in the corner, it will jerk this left rear tire up off the ground and make the left rear tire spin. Also, when that occurs, usually the driver has a real bad attitude, doesn't he, DW?
See, what happens is they come in the day of the race after you've done all your practice. They test the jack, and they say, oh, gee, the tires are coming out too far. We need to shorten that chain up a link. And then you get in the race, you can't figure out what's wrong.
Matt?
And Lance McGrew, you cut the chain on the left side?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, though. Chain on the right side for some reason is broken. We got something going on in the rear, and he said the car was acting real funny. So we cut the one on the left just to make sure it wasn't binding the rear suspension up somewhat. The shocks will hold the springs in. So don't really know what's going on. We're kind of puzzled.
Getting set for green, Damon Lusk for the first time in his Young Busch Series career. He is our leader, the Outdoor Channel Chevy. He did not pit. He's got David Green, Johnny Benson, Jeff Burton, and Joe Nemechek right behind him.
And he's one of those guys that hit it on the last caution back about lap 45.
Now you see the 37 car, David Green, he anticipated that start. He laid back off of him, and he got a run on him, and around he went.
3 wide for just an instant. Woo. Damon Lusk is 9th, 10th, 12th.
Is that what you call falling like a rock?
See, Damon Lusk in the 74 car with 25 laps on his tires, like you was talking earlier, Darrell. He can't get out of the way quick enough.
Yeah, 25 laps and about a ton of debris.
So David Green to the lead with Benson and Jeff Burton in hot pursuit. Burton on the bottom thinks better of it.
But I'm impressed with that guy back there in 4th place. We're riding with him right now. David Strimmy in the 32 car. He has never seen this racetrack until this weekend.
3 wide in the back stretch as they try to all get past that yellow car of Damon Lusk. Whoa.
Well, that was about, for him, that was what, about 15 seconds of glory, wasn't it? I mean, he got the lead, but he didn't get to keep it long.
And it's in a backup car. Remember, he was in a wreck yesterday in practice before qualifying.
He's in a wreck right now. He just hadn't hit anything yet.
Here's what a log jam does for you.
He just can't go, and these other guys are on new tires, and they just got them all bottled up everywhere.
Ashton Lewis there, Robert Presley, Stacy Compton.
But I give him credit for one thing. He's just holding his line and not creating any more problems.
Look at this battle for second place right here as we see the final replay. But here's the battle for second place. This is Jeff Burton in the 9, David Strimmy in the 32, and David Green in the 37 car. They were 3 wide down the front stretch the last time.
Because as we were watching Damon Lusk, Johnny Benson took the lead. So it's Benson, Burton, David Green, Strimmy, Biffle, and Robbie Gordon.
A good run for Robbie Gordon in that 55 car. He started back in 20th position. He's one of the guys that made long runs in that practice before qualifying to try to get a head start on his race setup. Matt Yoakum.
Larry Mackey's up to 6th. In fact, he told his team on the radio, I could have been more aggressive on that last run, but I didn't know how long it was actually going to go green, so I was just trying to conserve my tires.
Robbie Gordon working over the back of David Green.
I tell you, I'm pretty impressed with this new Busch team that Robbie Gordon has put together. This is a brand new race team. All of their cars are brand new. They started basically from scratch. They just moved into a new building, which can really change the complexity of a race team, but they're using those Richard Childress racing engines. He's been pretty competitive every race this year. He's sitting 7th in the Busch points. Not sure if he's going to run the whole schedule or not. I think the points will dictate a lot of that.
He may about to be sitting in 2nd place. Jeff Burton is all over him. The last 2 Busch Series races Benson ran here were for Bill Bumgarner. He finished 2nd in both of them.
And this team just needs a good run. They have 2 DNFs. As it looks like right now, he's getting past, kicked back to 2nd place by Jeff Burton in the 9 car, sitting 28th in points. But there's the crossover move, Darrell.
Yeah, that slow car, the 77, broke his momentum over there coming off the 2, and then that created the pass.
That 1 car is the car Jamie McMurray ran here last year.
Run your line.
Jamie, looks like it's with Benson, it's every bit as good as the car you had last year.
Yeah, that car, I don't know what it is about it, but it just seems like it has a lot of grip. It's just a really good race car. And we ran that at Rockingham and Darlington, both races last year. And after Darlington, I told them, let's just start taking it every week. This is the car that was leaving with at Homestead when the tire went flat. And it's just it's a really good car. I'm pretty excited for tomorrow because I'm thinking they have the same shocks on that we ran last year, and that's what I had on Happy Hour today. So looks like it's working still.
Hey, Jamie, what kind of car is it? I mean, you know, what makes it so good? Is it a Hopkins, a Laughlin, or a home-built car? What is it?
You know, it's going to sound funny, but I think it's a Laughlin or a Hopkins front clip, like a BSR center section and a Hopkins rear. It's just a pieced-together car that Randy LaJoie told him to never bring it back to the track, and we took it to Rockingham, and just it was my favorite car. And I don't know if the body's just good on it or what, but it just, man, it drives really good. It's effortless when you get in that car.
Hey, Jamie, we've been watching David streaming that 32 car. You were talking about him. We're riding with him right now. What did you think the first time you raced at this place?
Well, just, I mean, a little bit intimidated, and the first time I came here, I did not hit the wall. I just barely scraped it. And then I thought I had it figured out. The next time I came back, I hit it about 10 times. So I'm really impressed with David, though. I gave him a ride around Rockingham the day before he went there for the first time, and he almost beat me. If you guys remember, he screwed up getting on pit road. And he called me yesterday morning wanting me to give him a ride around, and I didn't make it out. I thought I helped him at Rockingham, but now watching this today, I don't know that I did any good or not. He seems to be pretty good on his own.
You didn't ride around in that sorry golf cart, did you?
I'm going to get my lights fixed, DW, in my golf cart. I'll get a radio put in, I'll be all right.
Yeah, Jamie, he said that you slept in, I think's the reason.
I'll tell you what, I might have just a little bit. You guys are right.
All right. Jamie McMurray joins us for today's coverage. Jeff Burton leading Greg Biffle, Johnny Benson, David Stremme, and David Green. Now, here's what happens when you're out there too long on those worn tires. Damon Lusk, who restarted first, faded toward the back of the pack, and then chunked out a piece of the rock.
He's just being abused right now.
Burton's lead, half a second over Greg Biffle. Somebody call a claims adjuster. Mike Wallace has come to grief up in turn number 4 in the Geico Ford. And I think he had some help up there.
Yeah, he did. Looked like the 12-car Fedowa got into the back of him and got him doing that old hospital hop, as we call it, and into the wall she went.
Mike was running up at about the 13th position.
He gets him loose right here, and he's trying to catch it, but he can't. He scrapes the wall. Now he's out of control, and she goes back to the
Bobby Hamilton Jr. in a 25 car just getting by.
Let's, Darrell, have a look. See if Mike Wallace doesn't get loose before Fedowa gets to him.
There's always that chance. Oh, he's wiggling a little bit right there, caused him to have to get up out of the gas a little bit, and Fedowa's got a run on him. I mean, Mike's going to be mad, but really and truly, there's not a whole lot Fedowa could do.
Let me tell you who's going to be mad. Joe Nemechek in that 87 car. Remember, he is out of tires. And everybody else, I'm sure, will be coming to pit road to get their 4 tires.
He gambled, and he
lost.
49 laps to go at the track. Some drivers have found too tough to tame this afternoon in Darlington.
Lap 100 here at Darlington. Pit stops underway with the leaders. The 9, the 60, all on pit road. No adjustments for Greg Biffle. Trying to win his first Busch race here at Darlington. Pit stop. He's down and away. It's going to be close. Looks like he may win this battle off pit road.
Tell you what, David Stremme's group in that 32 car, they shine pretty bright there. I believe he's going to go off pit road in 2nd position.
And that's a good car, too, and he's been right there with the leaders. Don't count him out.
The 1 car on the lead lap that did not stop, again, because he had no tires left to put on under caution, was Joe Nemechek. So Nemechek will go back to the lead. Let's show you the race off pit road.
See Greg Biffle in the 60 car, and there's David Stremme in the 32 car, only about a half a car length back. And there you see 9, Jeff Burton, who almost got in trouble on pit road as he was leaving his pits, and then Robbie Gordon in 55, he's going to come out in 4th.
Well, Greg Biffle's team did the job when it counted in what they hope will be their last pit stop of the day. Dick Bergman.
But problems in Johnny Benson's pit, Mike. They left 1 lug nut on the left rear. When the tire changer went to pull it off, it couldn't come off, so that made a slow stop, and that cost him. Steve?
Hey, Dick, it was interesting to listen to Jeff Burton and Rambo Liberati talk prior to the pit stop. They talked about air pressure adjustments. Rambo said, what do you want to do? And Jeff Burton said, my role in this whole deal is the driver. You make the call. So they put a half-pound back in the left side tires and took a pound and a half out of the right front.
Yeah, see you in victory lane. If you have to, start without me.
That's right. I don't know what to do. I mean, that's when you tell the crew chief, you make the call.
Joe Nemechek did not pit. He is our leader. Mike Harmon. So he's lined up there in second spot. Greg Biffle, David Stremme, Jeff Burton. 46 laps to go. It'll be 44 laps to go as they hit the stripe. Here's our Yamaha look at the top 5 in points coming into this race and where they stand right now as we get set for this restart after the 4th caution of the day. Kevin Harvick was our point leader back in 26th spot right now. Joe Nemechek is our leader because he had no tires to put on. And the free pass car, pardon me, Damon Lusk, the 74 will go around and get the free pass. Now, our TGI Fridays trivia. Who was the first driver to lead every single lap in a NASCAR Busch Series Super Speedway race?
JB.
Jeff Burton?
Jeff Burton. What do you think? I think it's right here. It's Super Speedway.
He did it here, 2002. And that is it.
How about that?
Hey, how much do we get for being right?
Cha-ching.
Reading that book's paying off.
I'm telling you, taking notes. It's big.
I'm told same as we get for being wrong.
Yeah. You know, I started to say Mark Martin because all the other records are held by Mark.
That's true.
But,
well, you talk about strategy, it's out the window. These guys have 44 laps to go with 31 cars on the lead lap. Nobody has any tires left.
Joe Nemechek's tires are 17 laps older than Greg Biffle, David Stremme, Jeff Burton, and Robbie Gordon.
And we saw what happened to the 74 car there earlier. So we can expect a similar thing out of Nemechek.
Well, since we don't have any tires left, let's crank it up.
Cars on new tires took advantage of Joe Nemechek. Biffle went past, then Stremme, Burton, and Gordon.
But they're catching him in about the worst place. I've seen a lot of the leaders catch him off turn 2. He can't get out of the way.
Well, that's the same thing that happened with them. Unless they're in the 74 car, guys, you got no maneuverability. You're just so vulnerable, and they're going to go around you everywhere.
And we're looking at pretty much right there about 7 through almost about 20 right there in one glob.
Jamie McMurray, that's got to be a helpless feeling to be out there like Nemechek is right now.
Well, it is. I mean, I know like this morning, even after about 10 laps, it was almost a second a lap. So, you know, he's just, he's really wanting it to be over with, I'd say, for his day right now.
Oh, it's going to be over with. It might be sooner than he means for it to be, too.
Just saw Jeff Burton in the 9 car go by David Stremme in the 32 car. Let's listen to what they had to say on the radio.
Clear. David, you got to be smarter. You're racing these Cup guys, a lot more experience than you. You got to show them a little respect, okay? Simple.
Yes, sir, you do. Right now, of our top 7, Dick Bergman, 5 of them are Nextel Cup regulars.
Yeah, and there was some interesting conversation from David Stremme's radio just before he came in to make that pit stop just a few laps ago. He said the car was tight with the cloud cover, but then Stremme said, but what do I know? You guys need to do what feels right. The crew thought about putting the spring rubber in the car. They decided it would take too much time. Instead, they cranked out a 14.5 pit stop, 14.5 second pit stop, and put him back onto the racetrack in 3rd position.
And Darryl, you're asking a guy at his first start at Darlington and only his 22nd Busch Series start what he wants to do to his car at Darlington. It's like, you know, I'm just trying to still how to figure out how to get around this racetrack.
Yeah, and you do not want to give up track position. We've already seen that. So don't work on the car. Get me in, get me out.
Mike Wallace treated and released at the Infield Care Center after crashing, and Derek Cope has taken his car behind the wall. Greg Biffle has opened up a quarter of a second on Jeff Burton. Here's Matt.
Right before the green, Brad Parrott, Greg Biffle's crew chief, says, I feel like the guy that we are racing now is the 9, Jeff Burton. 65 laps ago when they were exchanging the lead, Biffle keyed the mic and said, I really feel like I can get him if I need to off of 2. I'm just going to ride, but he is much better than me down in 3 and 4. And keep one thing in mind, if you look at that quarter panel of Greg Biffle's car, it is clean. Unlike when he won the championship, he used to always get Darlington stripes, whether it was Charlotte, Michigan, you name it. In fact, his team would take a die-cast Greg Biffle car, beat the side of it with a hammer, and scratch the paint, tie wrap it to the roll bar just for him to focus, remind himself he got to keep that car clean, and that's what he's done here today at Darlington.
Matt, right now he has a rearview mirror full of his teammate Jeff Burton. That 9 car is pretty good right now.
Yeah, they played some games a little earlier there, where Biffle let Burton go by. But I don't know, the games are over now, boys.
Playtime over.
Time gets serious.
Steve?
Hey, Mike, Rambo Liberati just told Jeff Burton, take your time. You're the best car here, and you're the best car on long runs. Be patient. And as DW said, he's racing that racetrack, not Greg Biffle.
Joe Nemechek has just pitted under green, couldn't stand it anymore, had to come and get some tires.
Yeah, I mean, there was no choice. He couldn't get out of the way, and again, he could change tires under green, but right now he's going to be about a lap and a half behind our leader, Greg Biffle.
And he couldn't really come in at the front of the field on that first lap around. He's gotten run over and caused a wreck, so he had to wait till he got himself in a position where he could get to the pits.
There's a report of a tire rub on Casey Kane, our outside pole sitter, and Darrell, you'll see a little bit of smoke. And we can show you where he got it. Back straightaway.
They're 3 wide here. This isn't going to be good. I can see that.
They're trying to get around Joe Nemechek, an 87 car.
Oh, boy. He's lucky just to have a tire rub. Wonder the fuel cell wasn't hanging on the ground.
Casey Kane is running in 6th place in that Great Clips Dodge.
Getting a little rub here on the left front, but I don't think that's bothering him that much.
Tell you what, the guy that qualified in the top 10, his first trip to Darlington, slid back after the start of the race, but I think he is learning this racetrack. Martin Truex Jr., he has worked his way back into the top 10. He's up in 9th position, and the guy right in front of him, Mike Bliss, in the 20 car, he's been nice and steady. A year ago, he had the best race car here, got caught up in the track, too tough to tame over in turn 3.
32 laps to go in the Diamond Hill Plywood 200. Greg Biffle out in front of Jeff Burton now by half a second. Stremmy's Dodge is 3rd. Robbie Gordon's Chevy 4th. And David Green's Pontiac 5th. The NASCAR Busch Series presented by Yamaha from Darlington Raceway on FX. 121 complete out of 147 laps. 26 to go, and Greg Biffle's lead now 0.8 of a second over Jeff Burton, David Stremme, and David Green.
And Darrell, this is where Greg Biffle can kind of run his car just as hard as he needs to. Keep that interval between you and Jeff Burton just right. Anticipate that lap traffic as you get to it.
Yeah, that's what he's got to do right now. Keep looking ahead, thinking about where am I going to catch this guy so I don't hurt my momentum, because you got to stay in the throttle.
Among the drivers moving up is Michael Waltrip, who just took 6th place from Casey Kane. Steve?
Mike, it's been a slow, steady climb for Michael Waltrip. Early in this race, he was loose. On their second pit stop, they took wedge out and went down on air pressure. On their most recent stop, they didn't make any changes. Michael said he likes the car. It's tight early in the run, but it comes back to him. Meanwhile, young Martin Truex Jr., his car has been tight all around the racetrack, but they had a great pit stop. They took a roundup wedge out of the right rear, half pound out of the left rear tire, and a quick pit stop.
I'll tell you what, Steve, they've made the right adjustments along with a quick pit stop, because he's all over the back of Casey Kane in the 38 car. That is a battle for 7th.
Yeah, they did a really, really good job of getting him back in the hunt, because he was going to go a lap down there a little while ago.
Truex tracking Casey Kane.
Plus, I do think, Larry, I think you mentioned the fact that laps. He's gotten some laps out there now, and he's kind of figuring out where to go and what to do, and that's probably been as helpful as anything. This place can be, it's so intimidating, particularly when you're out there in traffic.
Greg Biffle up by 7/10. The third place about to change hands. David Stremme now has David Green's Pontiac all over his back bumper, turn 3.
David Green's got a good race car.
Here's our Just for Men rejuvenating moment. Greg Biffle. His team made their best pit stop of the day. 4 tires and fuel on that last caution. And you'll see Biffle jump off the race off pit road. Inspector jumps out of the way, and Biffle takes the lead in the pits.
So much easier to beat him off pit road than it is out there on that racetrack.
He's up by 1 full second now over Jeff Burton, and I think that's the biggest lead anybody's had all day.
Yeah, and those 2 cars, Biffle and Burton, they're considerably faster than third place David Green. They're a good 4/10 quicker than Green, that's in third place.
Yeah, he's 9 seconds behind these guys right now.
Kevin Harvick came in here as the point leader in the NASCAR Busch Series, currently runs in 20th position. He's had an up and down day, but that elevator hasn't made it all the way to the top floor. Been more down than up.
I mean, he's been decent on short runs on fresh tires, which almost everyone is, but on these long runs, he has not been good at all.
Greg Biffle of the Charter Communications Ford continues to open it up over Jeff Burton and the rest of this field.
Tuesday, television's best cop drama is back. Don't miss Emmy winner Michael Chiklis in an all-new episode of The Shield. Tuesday at 10 p.m. only on FX. Nip and Tuck, also a show on FX, and things are nip and tuck here. A couple of Roush drivers. Greg Biffle leading Jeff Burton with just 13 laps to go. And as things tighten up, Jamie McMurray, you're talking about the safer barriers tightening up the walls here at Darlington. You noticed that yourself when you got out in traffic, and some of these guys might encounter that in the final laps here.
Yeah, I didn't notice it so bad in qualifying trim, but today in happy hour, whenever you would try to pass a guy, even if he was letting you have the groove, it's a lot narrower. You didn't have a lot of room for error before, and now you've taken 30 inches away, so it's tougher.
It really is. I'm sitting here watching, Chris. I mean, right now we got a great battle going basically from about 4th place back to about 8th. And part of that reason is because it plays so tight. You see Greg Biffle right there trying to negotiate, as far as traffic is concerned. And that's what's making it so interesting. You can gain and lose 1 or 2 seconds because of catching that traffic out of sequence. You can really have a big play with what's going on. And we see some pretty intense racing right now.
Back in 2002, Greg Biffle won this race, and Jeff Burton ran second, and that's currently the way it stands with just 12 laps to go. Teammates, it doesn't matter, Jim?
No, it doesn't matter. The gloves are off right now. As we take a look at David Green, he's got a pretty fast race car, but he's going to run out of time. If he had been just a little bit closer, he could be a factor in this thing. It seems like his car's really working good, but again, this traffic has really put a separation on like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and the other guys back in there, but we got some really, some intense racing going on.
Let's see how Nip and Tuck will be at the finish and rejoin Larry, Darrell, and Mike.
Here's the group we're watching from David Stremme in the trim spot number 32 on back. 4th through 7th place is really close.
And you know what? We've seen the 9 chase the 60 here a lot of times. A few years ago, Mark Martin was in the 60, though.
Dick Berggren on Stremme.
Well, Stremme may not have the fastest car of that group, Mike, but his crew is trying to persuade him that indeed he does. If you want to have a nice day, just listen to Stremme's spotter, because every once in a while he'll say, nice corner, nice lap, nice and smooth. That's the way to do it. I mean, it's making me feel good down here on pit road just listening to him. They are trying to use psychology to keep Stremme in 4th spot and keep those other guys behind him. But Darrell, that's what that driver wants to hear. He wants to hear that cheerleading. It makes him feel good.
Well, when you're doing a nice job, you want to be sure your crew's watching, that they're noticing, and that's encouragement. And I like to hang around people that encourage me.
And it's working. He's opened up a bit of a gap, although now Robbie Gordon and Martin Truex threaten to close it coming into turn 3. Truex looking under Gordon. He's going to make room.
Robbie Gordon don't want to give up, though, on that high side in that 55 car. I believe Truex will have to fall back in behind him here on the front stretches. We've got 9 laps to go.
Boy, now that's a couple of rocks right there. hope they don't find that hard place.
Yeah, the hard place will be Michael Waltrip and Johnny Benson trying to catch them. That'll get interesting.
Truex is definitely putting the pressure on Robbie Gordon. Just got to be a little bit cautious here. The tires aren't that great right now.
But I tell you, I believe in these final 15, 20 laps, Martin Truex in the 8 car, other than maybe Greg Biffle and Jeff Burton, he probably has the best race car.
Yeah, he's got a couple of positions right there in front of him. He's got the Stremme up here, and here he comes trying to make a run on Gordon, and you just got to hold. You got to be patient here now, buddy. Don't overdo it. You've done a great job. Gonna have to set him up. Robbie Gordon's hard to pass, but you know what? As he looks in the mirror, I bet his spotter's saying, "Here comes Johnny Benson in the 1 car."
7 laps.
Jamie, if you're on the radio to Martin Truex, where do you want him to make that pass?
Well, I think backing off, getting into turn 1, like I said, and trying to drive underneath him. Robbie looks really loose right now. I tell you what, though, Martin is a really smart racer, and if I were Robbie, Martin's not a guy that's going to run into you. He's done a really good job, and right there, I think he just needs to back off and try to drive underneath Robbie. Robbie's so loose driving up through 1 and 2 that he can maybe sneak underneath him. If he doesn't watch out, though, it looks like Johnny Benson's coming pretty quick.
Yeah, that's the dilemma. I mean, right now, he's got a faster car than Robbie, and Robbie's trying to give him an opportunity, and you saw how loose Robbie was off the corner, but you got Benson looking in you're looking in the rearview mirror, and here comes Benson.
3 cars fighting for 5th place while Greg Biffle waltzes off to a 2.4-second lead, Matt.
Mike, he has opened up that lead due in part to his spotter, Joel Edmonds, helping Greg do an excellent job of anticipating and then clearing the lap traffic. And to do a sidebar on our trivia question today of the last and only guy to lead all laps in a Super Speedway race, which is Jeff Burton, he did it in the car that is currently leading the race with Greg Biffle behind the wheel.
Here we go. He's under him, but I don't know.
5 laps to go.
Dale, it's like the 8 car just really struggles putting the power down. He don't have that good bite off the corner, but he may have got a good enough run that time. He can clear him off into turn 1.
Yeah, Robbie's got to let him go. And if there's any way he could put the crossover or move on him, he would, but he's so loose he can't cut back.
Johnny Benson did.
There you go.
Oh, Gordon might have slapped the wall there.
Yeah, he was so loose right there, and they got under him. They just blew him up out of the groove.
He lost his momentum. Here comes Michael.
Yeah, he's lost 3 positions in about a half a lap. He's going to slide back all the way to about 8th position. We got 4 laps to go right now.
And there's just not a whole lot you can do. When they get to going under you like that, you just got to let them go and fall back in line.
So Stremme moves to 4th, Truex to 5th, Benson to 6th, and Michael Waltrip up to 7th. Let's go up to 2nd place, where Jeff Burton's kind of all alone, 3.3 seconds behind Greg Biffle.
Still there. Still there.
And Mike, 1 lap ago, Jeff Burton radioed to his team, and crew chief Tony Liberati said, "Guys, I'm sorry, I asked for the wrong air pressure adjustments on that last stop." Rambo said, "Don't worry about it, we're in this together."
Thanks, team. Jeff Burton in a solid 2nd. Our pole sitter Kyle Busch doing a good job of holding on to the lead lap, 26 seconds back, 15th spot. 2nd here last time, but nonetheless, he's had a decent day.
Now, Larry Burton may have said, okay, let's up the pressure just a teeny bit. We don't have that far to go here. Fairly short run. Maybe he upped the pressures and overcooked the tires.
Yeah, people will do that to help the tires hook up quicker. Every time I did that here with more than about 10 laps to go, it ended up biting me.
Here comes Martin Truex Jr. on David Stremme. This is for 4th.
These guys are being so smart and not racing each other into turn 1. I mean, a couple of rookies normally wouldn't know not to do that, but these guys are pretty sharp.
2 laps to go.
I like the way Truex has run his race, Darrell. He saved the best for the end.
Woo,
picking them off.
Might have saved a little piece for that wall over there, too.
I'm looking at this battle back there with 2 laps to go with Casey Abbott and Mike Bliss. They were just 3 wide going down into turn 3.
Stremme and Benson off turn 4 for the white flag. They were side by side. Now go back single file.
This could get interesting because Benson's a little quicker. Stremme's going to block. See Johnny fade to the outside. They wanted to put a crossover move on him, but Stremme got back to the throttle a little quicker than he thought he would, I believe.
6th Darlington appearance for Greg Biffle as Robert Presley gets a lap back. Biffle will see the checkered flag for his first Darlington Busch Series victory.
And a really nice job by that team.
Very nice.
Spin back straightaway. Car to the inside wall. Ponstein. Stremme holds off Benson to the line.
It's the battle for 5th right there. You have David Stremme. Johnny Benson ended up 6th.
Might as well quit racing. Caution's out. Don't race back.
Nope, field's frozen. Even when the caution comes out on the last lap, it freezes the field. Not the way Andy Ponstein wanted his day to end here at Darlington. But for Greg Biffle, a 3.1 second victory over Jeff Burton. His 12th career victory, and it comes in his 87th race. He's the 22nd different driver to win a Busch race at Darlington. Here's what happened on the back straightaway last lap.
Looked like Jason Leffler in a 00 car. He was racing Jason Keller. They were racing for 13th position. And Andy Ponstein in the 39 car, who was several laps down, couldn't get out of the way coming off turn 2.
Greg Biffle's team, that last pit stop was the one that did it. Biffle goes to victory lane.
Welcome back here in Darlington. Greg Biffle in victory lane, where Jamie McMurray hopes to be tomorrow. I want to thank you for stopping by, your analysis, and you were up on the wheel all day. Good luck tomorrow in your 42 car, the Texaco Havoline Dodge. All right.
Yeah, ready to go. Car's been good since we unloaded here, so.
Yeah, well, we got your steering wheel now, so just make sure you kind of hang on that right there, just in case, you wore me out today.
It was as if you were driving. Thanks a lot, okay?
Thanks for having me here,
All right,
guys.
good luck tomorrow. We'll look for you then. Let's get out to victory lane as Greg Biffle holding off. Teammate Jeff Burton getting out of his car to celebrate. And Matt Yoakum is there.
Back in 2002, it was a 1-2 Roush finish, but you finished second to your teammate. Reverse today. This must really be a special win.
It is really a special win, and our thoughts and prayers are going out. Jack Roush lost his father this last week, and we're thinking about everybody. But great. I mean, I'm so excited to get the chartered high-speed cable car in victory lane. It's pretty awesome.
But this is Darlington.
This is Darlington, and with the new walls and everything, I think that side of the car is clean, and I'm pretty excited about that. The guys did a great job. We had a little trouble with the glue coming off on the lug nuts that stopped, and then they just ripped one off when it counted, got me out in the front, and this car run really good here today.
And like you mentioned, when it counted, the guys came to it, but you also came to it. A very stellar day behind the wheel, tire management. You did it all today.
Yeah, I did. Burton was putting a lot of pressure on us. He had a really good car, too. But, the charter car, I need to thank Charter and everybody, Coca-Cola, everybody does everything for us. Brad and the guy.
How about this guy right here?
Yeah, Brad Parrott. He's my man. We're going to win some more of these things. We probably should have won Rockingham and had some engine failure. And, the engine run really good today. Really strong engine. I'm real happy with it. But the guys just did a fantastic job. I'd like to say hi to everybody back home.
Third straight Darlington win for this chassis. 12th of the career for Greg Biffle.
And back home, Vancouver, Washington for Greg Biffle. 13th win for Roush Racing in the last 22 Darlington Busch Series races. And you see Biffle currently 9th in the Busch standings after 4 of 34 races. Harvick, your leader. Michael Waltrip up to 3rd. Martin Truex Jr. 4th. And Greg Biffle starts 3rd tomorrow. Only twice has the Busch Series winner gone on to win the Darlington Cup race. We'll be back here in a moment. Greg Biffle winning here, former Busch Series champion, former Craftsman Truck champion, and of course keep an eye for the final results on that crawl, the lower or the top portion of your screen to see where your favorite driver wound up. Let's check in trackside with Steve Burns. Steve?
Thanks, Chris. With Jeff Burton, you had a great battle with your teammate Greg Biffle. Tell us the turning point as far as you're concerned.
Well, I thought we were a little better than they were early in the race, in the middle part of the race, but there at the end we made an adjustment, and my car just didn't respond to it. It just made my car looser. It didn't make it turn any better. It just made it looser, and it was already loose to start with. So I was wanting to just make mine turn better and hopefully not make it any looser off the corner, and all we did was make it looser. So they did the best job, and I'm proud of those guys. Disappointed for us. I love Darlington and was really hoping to win here again, but finishing second's good, just not quite good enough.
Good luck tomorrow, Jeff.
Thank you.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Martin Truex finished 4th in his first ever drive here at Darlington. What'd you learn about this place today?
Wow, I learned a whole lot. I'll tell you what, this is a fun racetrack to race on. I had a blast, and we were just too tight beginning of the race and lost a couple spots and, just lost too much time there. But at the end, Bono and everybody did an awesome job. The Bass Pro car was hauling at the end, and, man, I had fun today.
Driver counts a lot here today. Congratulations. Mike?
Thanks, Dick. I think one big winner today was David Green. His 3rd place finish climbed him 3 spots in the points to 2nd.
Yeah, but if you've been racing at Darlington for 20 years as a veteran, to get a top 5 finish is a challenge. And for Martin Truex Jr. and David Stremme to do it in their first career start here at Darlington, that's quite an accomplishment. Probably feel almost as good as Greg Biffle does.
Yeah, you know, rubbing is racing, and these guys rubbed on these walls today, so the walls did not affect the race at all. And I was happy to see that, because big concern coming in here, what was that 30 inches that they taken away from a track going to do to the racing? Didn't seem to affect it one way or another.
Now, this was a sprint race. I can't wait for tomorrow. Remember, 1 year ago, what happened on the last lap here at Darlington in the Cup race.
It's going to be a drag race. Wow! They touch! They touch! Craven got him!
And
Craven!
Have you ever?
No, I've never.
Wow.
What a finish!
Tomorrow, some things you never maybe ever saw. And Ricky Craven will join us tomorrow on our pre-race show on Fox at 1 o'clock Eastern. But Jeff Hammond with the Roush cars finishing 1-2 here today. Is that a signal of what we might see tomorrow with 400 miles in the Cup race?
Well, let me tell you this right now. Greg Biffle's starting third tomorrow, along with his teammate Kurt Busch in fourth. So I think they got a pretty good position as far as starting is concerned. I look for those guys to be good, just like they were today.
And we want you to stick around here on FX, because coming up, Nextel Cup practice, happy hour, the final practice session follows. And then tomorrow, start your day with NASCAR this morning. John Roberts and the gang on Fox Sports Net, followed by the world's best drivers going at it in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series race from right here in Darlington, 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And the pre-race show, Ray Evernham will join us to talk about Casey Kane, who got as high as second today, but really was not a factor. NASCAR continuing all weekend long across the Fox networks. On this, the first day of spring, a pretty good start of things as Greg Biffle ends up with the victory. 18-year-old Kyle Busch had some chain problems, unlucky for the kid from Las Vegas as he led early on the pole. Casey Kane, as we said, not much of a factor. Greg Biffle battling Jeff Burton to win in the end. Leave it right here on FX for Winston Cup. Make that Nextel Cup practice, and then we'll see you tomorrow on Fox at 1 o'clock Eastern.